What if I told you that changing a stranger's flat tire could be the difference between freedom and prison? That a single act of kindness could become the most important decision of your entire life? This is the story of José Daniel Jiménez, a man who had no idea that the woman stranded on the side of the road would soon hold his fate in her hands. A story where justice hangs by a thread, where corruption runs deep, and where the truth fights desperately to survive. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where it all began. On a dusty road, with a broken-down car, and a choice that would change everything. Are you ready? Then let's dive in. It's a Tuesday morning. The sun beats down mercilessly on the outskirts of the city. José Daniel Jiménez is running late. Not unusual for him, but today is different. Today, he has a court hearing that could determine his entire future. As he speeds down the highway, his mind races faster than his car. Accusations, evidence he doesn't have, a legal system that seems stacked against him. Then he sees her, a woman standing beside a car with a flat tire, looking distressed and desperate. José slows down. He checks his watch. He's already running late. He has his own problems. He should keep driving. But something in her voice, something in her eyes, makes him pull over. The woman explains that she's on her way to her first hearing of the day. She's a judge, she says. She cannot be late. People's lives depend on it. José hesitates. He also has a hearing. If he's late, they're going to rule against him. The accused might go free. But looking at this woman, clearly distressed, professional, important, he makes a choice. He decides to help. And there it is, the moment that changes everything. José works quickly, his hands covered in grease and dirt. 15 minutes pass. 20. By the time he finishes, he's nearly 30 minutes late for his own hearing. The judge, still unaware of the cosmic joke fate is playing, speeds off toward the courthouse, while José frantically tries to clean his hands with a dirty rag. What he doesn't realize is that he's just helped the very person who will decide if he's guilty or innocent. The very person who holds the power to send him to prison or set him free. But we're not at the courthouse yet, because José's morning is about to get even worse. José arrives at the courthouse 40 minutes late. His shirt is stained with grease. His hands are still dirty. And to top it all off, there's no parking. In his desperation, he does what any panicked person would do. He parks illegally right in front of the courthouse and rushes inside. But fate isn't done with him yet. A police officer stops him just as he's trying to leave the car. The vehicle is illegally parked. José panics. He explains that he's just doing a favor for someone who works in the Justice Department. He changed her tire. The officer is skeptical and calls in to verify the license plates. They belong to Judge Alejandra Fernandez. José feels a moment of relief, but the officer still issues him a citation. $60. $60 José doesn't have. And more time wasted that he definitely doesn't have. As he finally runs into the courthouse, dirty, sweating, and completely disheveled, he has no idea that the woman whose tire he changed is already inside. In fact, she's waiting for him, because she's his judge. Inside courtroom 4, Judge Alejandra Fernandez sits at her bench, patient but concerned. The defendant is late, very late. The prosecution is getting restless. The prosecutor requests an arrest warrant. The judge prefers to give people the benefit of the doubt when possible. If he doesn't arrive in 10 minutes, they'll proceed accordingly. The plaintiff, Damaris Cisneros, whispers to her attorney that this is perfect. If the defendant doesn't show up, they win by default. Let me pause here to tell you what this case is really about. José Daniel Jiménez is accused of stealing a computer worth thousands of dollars from the company where he worked as an IT technician. The company claims he took it and disappeared. The computer allegedly contained confidential information, trade secrets, client data, everything. José says he's innocent. He says he repaired the computer and left it exactly where he found it. He says someone else took it, but he has no proof, no witnesses, nothing. And in a system that runs on evidence, having nothing is the same as being guilty. The door bursts open. José enters, breathless, apologizing for his delay. Judge Alejandra looks up, and it's only then that she gets a good look at him. Dirty hands, grease-stained shirt. The same young man who changed her tire less than an hour ago. Her eyes widen slightly, but her face remains professionally neutral. She doesn't say anything. Not yet. The prosecutor jumps up, complaining that the defendant is late, dirty, disrespectful. The judge silences him firmly. She tells José the hearing will proceed now, and she's sure he had good reason for being late. She looks at him pointedly and tells him to clean his hands thoroughly before touching any documents. Every detail matters here. Did you catch that? Judge Alejandra just acknowledged their earlier encounter without saying it explicitly. She's telling him she knows, she remembers, and she's giving him a fair shot despite the circumstances. But she's also a judge. And judges can't let personal feelings interfere with justice. The question is, will José's act of kindness influence her decision? Or will she remain completely impartial? We're about to find out. The judge asks José where his attorney is. The judge silences the prosecutor again, telling him she decides when people speak in this courtroom. She asks José for an opening statement. He takes a nervous breath and says simply, "I'm innocent." The prosecutor laughs. The plaintiff smirks. Even the court secretary looks skeptical. Because I'm innocent is what everyone says. It's what the guilty say and what the innocent say. In a courtroom, those words mean nothing without evidence, and José has no evidence. Or does he? José begins to explain. A week ago, he was working as an IT technician at the company where all these events occurred. They gave him a computer to repair. It was having software issues. He fixed it and left it in the exact same place. But unfortunately, after that, the computer disappeared completely. The judge asks if he has witnesses to support his version. He doesn't. He was working alone that day. The prosecutor stands up, requesting permission to intervene. The judge allows it. The prosecutor explains that the audit report is very clear. The equipment disappeared completely under José's direct custody. The judge asks who prepared the audit report. The prosecutor did. He's also representing the company in this matter. Wait, did you catch that? The prosecutor prepared the audit report. That means the evidence was gathered by the same person who's now presenting it in court. Does that sound suspicious to you? It should. But Judge Alejandra can't jump to conclusions. She needs facts. The judge asks who has the evidence to support this audit. The plaintiff, Damaris, stands and explains that she personally delivered the computer to José. Only he had access to it. The audit trail is clear. The prosecutor states what they want: for the defendant to be held directly responsible for the loss of the equipment. Furthermore, they're seeking economic damages. The judge asks how much the computer is worth. They need approximately $500 to replace it. But more importantly, they need the expert report to protect themselves with insurance. José can't stay quiet. He blurts out that the computer isn't worth that much money. The prosecutor objects immediately. The defendant is discrediting the witness without presenting any valid testimony of his own. The judge firmly tells José to be silent. He'll have his moment. She asks the plaintiff if she's absolutely certain that nobody else touched this equipment. Completely certain, the plaintiff responds. The judge turns to José. She's going to give him an opportunity to present all the elements that support his version of events. Does he have anything else to add today? José takes a deep breath. Yes. He has a video. A video of Damaris arriving at night and leaving with a portable electronic computer. The courtroom explodes. The prosecutor jumps up. Damaris goes pale. Even Judge Alejandra leans forward with interest. Because if this video exists, everything changes. The prosecutor demands to know where this supposed video is. The judge asks José the same question. José pats his pockets frantically. He had it on a flash drive, a USB stick. The prosecutor asks mockingly, had past tense? José explains that he must have dropped it when he was changing someone's tire this morning. And just like that, José's only piece of evidence is gone, lost somewhere on a dusty roadside while he was performing an act of kindness. The irony is almost too much to bear. The prosecutor becomes aggressive. This is ridiculous. While they waste time here, his client's company continues to be at risk. They cannot allow the justice system to be made a mockery of. The judge remains calm. Both parties will be heard. This courtroom will not render a verdict without evaluating every word carefully. She tells the prosecutor that it's absolutely clear the defendant is attempting to present evidence. The fact that he doesn't currently possess it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The prosecutor argues that it's far more likely this video never existed at all. The defendant is clearly trying to manipulate the court, and it's quite possible he'll flee. José protests. That's not true. Just give him a chance. He promises he'll find the flash drive. Judge Alejandra faces an impossible decision. On one hand, the prosecution is right. José has no evidence right now. On the other hand, his story is specific enough to be verifiable. And there's something else. Something she knows that no one else in this courtroom knows. She knows exactly where José was this morning. She knows exactly what he was doing. And she knows that his story about dropping the flash drive while changing a tire isn't just plausible, it's probable. The judge strikes her gavel. Given that the defendant possesses key evidence that is currently not in his possession, this court will take a 30-minute recess. José thanks her, relieved. The prosecutor objects, warning that the defendant may flee. The judge responds that if the defendant does not return within the established time frame, this court will interpret his absence according to the law. Court is adjourned. 30 minutes. José has 30 minutes to find a tiny flash drive somewhere along several miles of highway. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Except the needle determines whether you spend the next 5 years in prison. No pressure. But something else is happening. Something José doesn't know about yet. Because while he's racing back to that roadside, the prosecutor and the plaintiff are having a very different conversation. And it's going to change everything. In the courthouse hallway, the prosecutor and Damaris speak in hushed, urgent voices. The prosecutor can't believe José showed up right when they had him. And now with this story about a supposedly incriminating video, Damaris is panicked. This wasn't in the plan. If he finds that video, they're screwed. The prosecutor asks if she knew about this video. She didn't. But if he made it, he recorded without anyone noticing. There's no way to know how much it shows. Hold on. Let's pause here because this is important. Did you hear what they just said? If he finds that video, we're screwed. Not if the video is fake or if he's lying. They're worried about what the video shows, which means José is telling the truth. The video exists, and it apparently shows something very damaging. The prosecutor continues. If he doesn't find it, they just have to wait until his time runs out. He won't work miracles in 30 minutes. Damaris agrees. He has no witnesses. He lost the flash drive. He'll look like a desperate liar. So they maintain their strategy. If he comes back with something, discredit it. Say it's edited, fabricated. It wouldn't be the first time someone tried to deceive a judge. And if he doesn't come back, maximum pressure. Push for sentencing today so they can collect the insurance money as quickly as possible. There it is. The insurance money. Because this isn't really about a stolen computer at all. This is about fraud. This is about two people who made a computer disappear so they could collect insurance money. And José, the unlucky IT technician, was set up to take the fall. But here's the thing about insurance fraud. It only works if someone gets convicted. If José is found innocent, the insurance company won't pay out. They'll investigate. And investigations tend to uncover the truth. So the prosecutor and Damaris need José to be found guilty. Their entire scheme depends on it. Meanwhile, José is on his hands and knees on the side of the highway, searching through dirt and gravel. Cars zoom past. The sun beats down mercilessly. Sweat pours down his face. 10 minutes left. He searches near the spot where he changed the tire. Nothing. He expands his search radius. Still nothing. 5 minutes left. And then, wait. What's that? a small reflection of sunlight off something metallic, half buried in the gravel near the wheel well. José grabs it frantically. Yes, he found it. José clutches the flash drive like it's made of gold, because right now, for him, it's worth more than gold. It's worth his freedom. He jumps in his car and races back to the courthouse. He has 3 minutes to spare. Inside the courtroom, Judge Alejandra is just sitting back down at her bench. The prosecutor looks smug. Damaris looks relieved. They think he's not coming back. The door bursts open. José rushes in, breathless, announcing he's here. The prosecutor's face falls. Damaris goes pale, and Judge Alejandra, well, she almost smiles. Almost. Because she's a judge, and judges don't smile when defendants return from recess. But there's something in her eyes. A spark of hope, respect, something. The prosecutor recovers quickly, claiming the defendant has probably fabricated this evidence during the recess. This is clearly a desperate attempt to mislead the court. The judge silences him. She asks José if he has the evidence he mentioned. Yes, he found it exactly where he changed the tire. It's intact. The prosecutor objects again. They can't verify the authenticity of this video. It could be anything. It could be edited, manipulated. The judge cuts him off. This court will evaluate the veracity of the content presented, not his mere assumptions. She instructs the court secretary to prepare the video for viewing. This is it. The moment of truth. Everything José has been fighting for comes down to what's on this tiny piece of plastic and metal. If the video shows what he says it shows, he's innocent. If it doesn't, or if it's corrupted or fake or unclear, he's going to prison. The judge announces that this video will only be played under judicial supervision. The lights dim. The courtroom goes silent. Everyone leans forward, and then the video starts playing. On the screen, they see the office building, empty, dark. Then a figure appears, a woman with a key card entering through the side door. It's Damaris. She's carrying a large bag. She enters the building. 7 minutes pass on the timestamp. Then she emerges, and the bag is now bulging, clearly containing something large and rectangular. A computer. The video ends. The courtroom is dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Even the court stenographer has stopped typing, just staring at the screen in shock. Because they just heard a lawyer and his client essentially confess to their crime on video. You know what's beautiful about this moment? It's the symmetry of it. José was almost convicted because of missing evidence. Now he's saving himself and convicting others because of evidence he had the foresight to gather. The judge orders the recording to be played. The audio begins. They hear Damaris's voice explaining that the computer didn't disappear. They know where it is. José declares himself guilty. They drop the complaint. He's absolved due to lack of evidence, and he receives his share. Clean money. They hear the prosecutor saying everyone wins and nobody really loses. The audio ends. The courtroom is absolutely silent. You could hear a pin drop. Even the court stenographer has stopped typing, just staring at the speakers in shock. Because they just heard a lawyer and his client admit to insurance fraud, witness tampering, and attempted bribery. In a courtroom. On the record. Judge Alejandra's voice turns cold as ice. This court has not only witnessed gross manipulation of the judicial process, but also a shameless attempt to corrupt the justice system. She orders the court secretary to notify the public prosecutor's office immediately. The prosecutor tries to argue it's a misunderstanding. They can reach an agreement. The judge says enough. For clear attempt at procedural fraud, evidence manipulation, and conspiracy, this court has requested preventive detention orders for attorney Paul Mendoza and Miss Damaris Cisneros. She orders the officers to take them into custody. Damaris shouts as officers approach that this won't end like this. They'll hear from their lawyers. The judge responds that what won't end is impunity. In her courtroom, justice will always prevail. She tells José that this court has determined he is completely innocent of all charges presented against him. He is free to go, and that's how it ends. The fraudsters get arrested. The innocent man goes free. Justice is served. But wait, there's still one more piece to this story. Because remember, Judge Alejandra knows something nobody else in that courtroom knows. She knows that José helped her, that he made himself late for his own hearing to change her tire, that his act of kindness led directly to the parking ticket, the rushed entrance, the desperate search for evidence. And she never said a word about it during the trial. Because judges have to be impartial. They can't let personal feelings influence their decisions. But now the trial is over. Later that day, on the courthouse steps, José approaches Judge Alejandra as she's leaving. He asks if he can speak with her for a moment. She's surprised, but agrees. José thanks her for believing in him, for giving him a chance to prove his innocence. She corrects him. She didn't believe in him. She believed in the evidence. That's what justice is. Evidence, not faith. José points out that she gave him that 30-minute recess. She could have denied it. She could have ruled against him right then. There's a pause here, a moment where Judge Alejandra could maintain her professional distance, where she could simply nod and walk away. But she doesn't. She tells José that she found something in her car that afternoon, a parking ticket, from the day of his hearing. The day someone was kind enough to change her tire, even though it made him late for the most important appointment of his life. José is stunned. She knew? The whole time? She explains that she knew he changed her tire. She didn't know if he was guilty or innocent of the charges against him. Those are two separate things. José asks if she wasn't supposed to recuse herself. Isn't that a conflict of interest? She says she considered it. But here's the thing. Him being kind to her didn't make him guilty or innocent of theft. It was irrelevant to the facts of the case. And the facts showed he was innocent. This is important, really important, because it shows what real justice looks like. Judge Alejandra didn't let José's kindness influence her decision. She didn't let it bias her. She evaluated the evidence objectively, the same way she would have even if they'd never met. But she also didn't punish him for it. She didn't recuse herself unnecessarily. She simply did her job. That's integrity. That's real justice. José says he hopes there are still judges like her who stand on the side of justice. She tells him there are. More than he thinks. But she wants to give him some advice. Don't stop being kind. Don't let this experience make you cynical. He helped a stranger on the side of the road, and that's beautiful. That's humanity at its best. The world needs more of that. José asks, even when it costs $60 and almost gets you convicted? She smiles, especially then. She tells him to take care of himself and remember that the truth always finds its way. José watches as Judge Alejandra walks to her car. He thinks about everything that happened. The flat tire, the parking ticket, the missing flash drive, the conspiracy, the victory. And he realizes something profound. Sometimes the universe puts us exactly where we need to be, even when it doesn't make sense at the time. If he hadn't stopped to help that stranger, he might have arrived on time to court. But he also wouldn't have known about the parking situation. He wouldn't have left the flash drive near the courthouse. He wouldn't have been able to find it in time. Fate works in mysterious ways. But wait, because there's one more scene, one more twist to this story. Because life doesn't end with a court verdict. Sometimes it begins there. 2 weeks pass. José gets his life back together. He finds a new job, better pay, better hours, better bosses who don't try to frame him for theft. Damaris and the prosecutor are awaiting trial. The evidence against them is overwhelming. The insurance company is conducting its own investigation. Things are not looking good for them. And Judge Alejandra is back to her regular caseload, making sure justice is served, one case at a time. But on this particular Tuesday afternoon, something interesting happens. Alejandra is getting out of her car when she realizes she has another flat tire. Different tire this time, but same problem. She sighs, pulls out her phone to call roadside assistance, and then she hears a familiar voice. José asks if she's having trouble. She turns, surprised. What is he doing here? He grins and says he was just passing by. He saw her car and thought maybe she needs a mechanic again. She laughs and asks if he gave her a flat tire just so he could offer to fix it. He laughs too, insisting he would never do that. She's joking. She tells him to relax. There's something different in their interaction now. Before, it was stranger helping stranger. Then it was judge and defendant. Now it's just two people who shared an extraordinary experience and came out the other side. José gets tools from his car and offers to help. This time, he promises not to lose any evidence while doing it. She promises not to give him any parking tickets. As José changes the tire, they talk. Not about the case. That's over. Not about justice or evidence or court proceedings. They talk about life, about work, about how strange it is that their paths crossed the way they did, about fate and coincidence and whether there's really a difference between the two. José finishes up and jokes that he should charge her for this. She does owe him $60 for that parking ticket. She counters by offering to buy him coffee as a thank you. He asks if she's asking him out. She reminds him that she's a judge, not a robot, and they're not in court anymore. Her name is Alejandra. He introduces himself as just José, and yes, he'd love to get coffee. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this appropriate? A judge and a former defendant? Well, the case is closed. José was found innocent. There's no conflict of interest, no ethical violation. They're just two people who met under extraordinary circumstances. And sometimes that's exactly how the best connections begin. 30 minutes later, they sit across from each other at a small cafe near the courthouse. 2 cups of coffee on the table between them. The atmosphere is relaxed, comfortable. Alejandra asks José something. That day in court, when she gave him the 30-minute recess, did he really think he'd find that flash drive? Honestly, no, he admits. He thought he was finished. He thought he was going to prison for something he didn't do. But he had to try. She asks why. Because giving up would have meant letting them win, he explains. And he couldn't let them win. Not when he knew he was innocent. She tells him that's courage. Real courage. Most people would have accepted a plea deal. José reveals that they offered him one before the trial. Said if he pleaded guilty, he'd get probation instead of jail time. But he couldn't do it. He couldn't admit to something he didn't do. This is important. This is the core of José's character. He's not just innocent. He's principled. He could have taken the easy way out, but he didn't. And Alejandra recognizes that, respects it. She tells him he asked her something in the courtroom. He asked what her heart said, guilty or innocent. She said innocent. He remembers. She wants to answer why now. Her heart said innocent because of how he helped her that morning. Not because she owed him anything, but because someone who stops to help a stranger, someone who makes themselves late for something so important, that's not the kind of person who steals. José points out that she couldn't let that influence her decision. No, she agrees. She couldn't, and it didn't. But she can tell him now she's glad her heart was right. They talk for hours about José's new job, about Alejandra's other cases, the ones she can discuss, about their families, their dreams, their lives. And somewhere in that conversation, something shifts. This isn't just coffee between two people who went through something strange together. This is the beginning of something new. José asks if he can see her again, outside of traffic court or criminal proceedings. She smiles and says she'd like that, but she has to be honest with him. Her job is complicated. The hours are long. The work is demanding. And she has to be very careful about appearances. He understands. But here's what he knows. Life is complicated. Work is demanding. And if they only pursued relationships that were simple and easy, they'd all be alone. She remarks that's very wise for someone who fixes computers for a living. He grins. Hey, he also changes tires. He's a man of many talents. They laugh. And in that moment, you can see the future unfold. Not guaranteed, not certain, but possible. Sometimes that's all you need. Possibility. 6 months later, a lot has changed. Damaris and the prosecutor were both convicted of fraud, conspiracy, and evidence tampering. Damaris got 3 years. The prosecutor, as a lawyer who violated his oath, got 5 years and was permanently disbarred. The insurance company never paid out. In fact, they sued the company for attempted fraud. José's former employer went bankrupt 6 months after the trial. Turns out the missing computer was just the tip of the iceberg. There were other frauds, other schemes. The whole organization was corrupt from top to bottom. But José is thriving. New job, new life, new perspective. And Alejandra is still fighting for justice, one case at a time. As for their relationship, it's a Saturday afternoon. José and Alejandra are in the park, having a picnic. Simple, normal. The kind of thing people do when they're not caught up in criminal trials and conspiracies. Alejandra tells José she has something to say. He asks if he should be worried. She explains she got assigned to a new case. High-profile corruption trial. It's going to be intense. Long hours, lots of media attention. She might not be as available for the next few months. He says he understands. Her work is important. She asks if he's not upset. Upset? He saw her in action. He knows what she does matters. He knew who she was when they started this. She thanks him for understanding. Not everyone would. He tells her he's not everyone. He's the guy who changed her tire and almost went to prison because of it. They're kind of bonded by trauma now. She laughs and asks if that's what they're calling it, trauma bonding. He asks what she would call it. Fate, she says. She'd call it fate. And maybe that's exactly what it is. Fate. Destiny. The universe putting two people in the same place at the same time for a reason. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe it's just kindness. One act of kindness that rippled out in ways José could never have imagined. He helped a stranger. That stranger turned out to be his judge. That judge gave him a fair trial. That fair trial revealed a conspiracy. That conspiracy being exposed saved other potential victims. And in the end, two people who never should have met found something real together, all because of a flat tire. José asks Alejandra a question. That day in court, when she first saw him walk in all dirty and late, what did she really think? Honestly, she thought, that's the guy who changed my tire. And then she thought, oh no, I'm supposed to judge this guy's case. He asks if she was worried she couldn't be impartial. For about 5 seconds, she admits. Then she remembered what justice actually means. It means evaluating evidence objectively, regardless of personal feelings. It means separating what you want to be true from what is actually true. He asks what she wanted to be true. She wanted him to be innocent, she confesses, because he seemed like a good person. But what she wanted didn't matter. What mattered was what he could prove. He says it's a good thing he could prove it. She agrees, adding that his recording of that second conversation was brilliant. Where did he learn to think like that? From almost being convicted of a crime he didn't commit, he explains. It's amazing how quickly you learn when your freedom is on the line. They sit in comfortable silence for a moment, watching people pass by. Families, couples, kids playing, normal life happening all around them. It's easy to forget in the midst of drama and crisis that this is what matters. These quiet moments, these connections, this peace. Alejandra calls his name softly. He responds. She tells him she's glad he stopped that day. She's glad he helped her. He asks, even though it cost him $60 and almost landed him in prison, especially because of that. She says, it showed her something important. He asks what? That good people still exist, that kindness still matters, that sometimes doing the right thing leads to the right outcome. He points out, not always, though. No, she agrees. Not always, but often enough to keep trying. And that, right there, is the message of this story. Not that justice always prevails, though in this case it did. Not that kindness always gets rewarded, though in this case it was. The message is simpler. Keep being kind anyway. Keep doing the right thing anyway. Keep fighting for truth anyway. Because you never know when changing someone's tire might change your